Okay, so we have another brief meeting together to look at some questions and answers. The first is how to deal with being self-critical in relation to Dharma, not studying enough, not practicing enough. So on an outer level, you can frighten yourself by thinking that you will die soon, but that probably won't help very much. From our Dzogchen view, study will not take you to where you want to go. The key point is to become close to yourself. And for this, we use the Guru Yoga, gathering yourself into the state of alignment with the openness, which is your own ground. When you have a thought that you're not making progress or you're not trying hard enough, don't enter into the semantic content of what you're saying to yourself, but try to take this the criticism as a sign. Oh, I'm deeply in duality. You can't struggle your way out of duality. You have to relax out of it. If you're struggling against something, and this increases the subject object division. So it may seem paradoxical, but when you're feeling that you're not doing well and you're a failure, that is exactly the time to be most kind to yourself. Subject and object arise as separate vectors in the absence of clarity regarding the open ground. So we want to gather together both parts, both subject and object, and allow them to settle into their own spacious origin. With ignorance, we fall into the belief, I am real and the world is real. This belief we've received a confirmation of from parents, schools, and so on, but it's a delusion. So adding more strengthening to the sense of a fundamental split, a separation between subject and object, will not help us relax into intrinsic wholeness. So the best remedy is the Guru Yoga. The next question is it valid to do practice linked to the mamos at this time? Mamos are many different kinds of mother of spirits or forces who move the energies of the world. And it links to the second part of the question is how to integrate vajrayana rituals with our contemporary life. Generally speaking, vajrayana rituals are concerned with power. They are activities which are designed to bring about a shift, not just in the practitioner, but in the environment around them. The forces of destruction in the environment now are very, very intense. The forces of destruction running around in the minds of sentient beings are very intense. So you can devote a lot of energy to rituals which are designed to shift the patterning of the emergent movement of the five elements, to turn the five poisons into the five wisdoms. But this kind of practice is not likely to have much power behind it unless you have built up a huge amount of focused meditation power, because you're trying to overcome the negative forces in the world. That is to say, it's a conflictual structure. And if your understanding of emptiness as the ground and field of both aspects of the conflictual structure is not strong, then you can get sucked into dominating something which seems to be attacking you. So the more provocations increase, the more important it is to be aware of your starting point in the practice. There are many, many people concerned with power in the human dimension at the moment. the amount of money spent on the production of weapons and bombs and so on every year is shocking and disgraceful. So to use Tantra as an antidote to dualistic hostility is a great task, but it requires both a lot of meditation power and effective skill. There are many, many different practices that can be done. Till now, war has not stopped. The exploitation of children has not stopped. The expelling of refugees from war zones has not stopped. So perhaps it's better for us to turn our attention towards the main task of understanding our mind. When your mind is clear, you don't get caught by signs and names and identities. So next question, explain the meaning of the three roots, guru, yidam, and dakini. Yidam or deva is a meditation deity. In order to access the deity for meditation, you need to have initiation. The initiation is the work of the guru. The guru opens the way to liberation, and in the tantric method is done by linking you in the first instance to your personal meditation deity. The more practice you can do, the more you can start to feel, I am this deity. Then you realize, oh, and I'm also my ordinary identity that I've had since I first became conscious in this body. So I have two identities. Which is the real one? Neither is real. Both are illusion. The mind itself has no need of identity. Manifestation arises as patterning within the field of patterning. If you go for a walk, you see houses, people, cars. So these appearances are born from your identification. Usually, when you're in the street, you don't think the car is an aspect of emptiness, the person is an aspect of emptiness. That's why in Tantra we visualize again and again, out of the open sky comes the rainbow light, which forms the seed syllable. And the seed syllable becomes the mandala, and in the mandala palace, there is the deity. And then through the practice, we realize everything is the mandala of the deity. So we are using imagination or visualization or conscious hallucination as the means to see that this whole world is a hallucination. Without your mind, there is no world. You think, oh, but when I die, the world will still be here. That's an idea in your mind. Without the mind, there is neither nihilism nor eternalism. These are all ways of fantasizing how the world is. If you see that the ground of the mind is open and empty, then you see these imaginings are playful. They're not serious. Better not to be serious. When we're serious, we want to know the truth. And when you know the truth in a way that you can articulate, then you can find the people who don't agree with you. These are the heretics, the misbelievers. Well, then you have to decide, do you murder them today or do you send them to the gulag? Once you're carrying the holy burden of truth, there are many nasty things you have to do. But the function of the guru and the yidam is to avoid being caught in the notion of dogmatic truth. Everything that arises is an illusion. In the dakini, the word dakini has many, many different meanings, but for meditators, dakinis are the movement of the thoughts, feelings, sensations, which are rising moment by moment, like shooting stars in the sky. Oh, the Tibetan translation is kandro, means moving in the sky. The sky is the symbol of our mind. Daytime, nighttime, always things moving in your mind. memories, sensations, smells, taste, colors, and so on. This is the play of the dakini. It's movement. But this is why she called kandro. Dro is the verb that means to go. So in Dzogchen, we are concerned with the self-arising and self-liberation of whatever occurs. This is like the kandro, just appearing and then vanishing. Sometimes in the summer, you can sit outside and see the little fireflies. Light comes on, then it vanishes. Then it comes on again somewhere else. Well, this is like in our mind. Something appears, you hear a sound, you turn your head, then you see something else and something else. The more you have a sense of this, what should we say, this revelation of the dakini, then you see that the teacher or the guru is also moving. If the guru has a human form, then they have a name and you can learn things about where they were born and what they do and so on. What does that tell us? You have information about what? Now you have some ideas in your mind about someone else. Does your knowledge about the guru tell you what they are thinking or feeling in this moment? The guru is ungraspable. And it's why the texts are always recommending don't judge the teacher. This is not because they are special, but if you have a strong encouragement not to judge the teacher, especially if the guru's behavior is quite provocative for you, when they do that, I feel this. They are the cause of me feeling like this. I don't want to feel like this. They can't be a very good guru if they make me feel like this. When you see that sequence of thoughts, you hopefully realize, oh, this is my mind. I don't know what's happening in the guru's mind, but I can see how I bring together concepts into a package which is very solid and definitive. My thoughts and my memories and my knowledge of the guru seem to go out to the guru. This is how it seems on the sort of stupid level of ordinary functioning. But when we do a little practice, we start to see it's a little different. When I throw my concept at the guru, it doesn't quite arrive there, but turns like a boomerang. And suddenly it's hitting me because I'm much better at throwing the boomerang than catching it. So now we get beaten up by our own thoughts. When you see this, then, oh, and it's not just to the guru, it's to my mom, my dad, my kids, my partner, whoever. When I believe that my thoughts tell the truth about the world as it is, I am deluded. The patterning of the arising of thoughts, feelings, and so on is like an ornamentation of the space of our manifesting. To be alive is to be in a drama. It could be tragedy, comedy, tragicomedy, soap opera, many different kinds of drama. So the more we see this and how we interpret the characters around us, this is entertainment. Nothing is established. These plays can last the whole of your life. If you don't wake up from the play, then your actions and reactions are conditioned by the script that you're following. So the guru, the yidam, and the dakini function together to indicate this is a drama. What arises for us is dynamic and interactive. There is no true existence to it, and yet we can't just jump out of it. So to really believe in it is delusion, and this leads to endless confusion. But if you thin your belief, then you see that the delusion is just an illusion, like a mirage. Then you don't have to fight against appearances, nor go under their power. but maintain the clarity of form and emptiness, and respond with kindness to beings who are trapped in delusion. So, next question. I'm not sure if I want a family or to dedicate my life to Dharma practice. I think I could lose time in family life. Any advice? You can lose time in all sorts of things. You can lose time by living in a Dharma center, being involved in organizational politics. You can spend a lot of time studying uh, Dharma in a way that gives you a lot of information, which you will forget at the point of death. So there's several issues embedded in the question. What does it mean to dedicate my life to Dharma practice? Do you have such a powerful one-pointed attention that if you direct your mind to something, it will stay there? If you have never found Dharma boring, then you are very unusual. To have a life influenced by Dharma, so that you massage Dharma into your life, is one possibility. To give your life to Dharma, to protect yourself from worldly activities. In Tibet, you could become a monk or a nun, live in a small cave or a hermitage. Generally, people would ensure you had at least some food to eat. That may not be the case in the country that you live in. If you were living in a cave in Tibet, there was no tax collector. There was no national bureaucracy that was sending you endless forms you had to fill in. In Western countries, at the moment, certainly, there's a lot of activity necessary for simple life maintenance. So if you set up a duality, on the one hand, there is a ceaseless Dharma practice, which is good, and on the other hand, worldly life, which is a waste of time. And we have to know that the Dharma practice can also involve bad things. Building a monastery destroys many insects. Butter lamps are very good for frying moths. Monasteries insist on the importance of what they represent. So it can set up a tension that maybe a Gelugpa monastery is better than a Nyingmapa monastery. There was a lot of competition and rivalry between different sects in Tibet. So if you just want to do Dharma practice, then living alone and doing your Dharma practice every day may be very good, if you have the temperament for it. Some people are very extrovert, others are more introvert. Extroverts gain energy by communicating with other people, and they get a bit depleted on their own. Introverts replenish themselves by being on their own because they get depleted by being with other people. So if you think that a way of life is good in and of itself, then you're saying there is an inherent existence and a true truth to this activity. But that's not true. Everything is relational. Everything arises in dependent origination. Dependent origination means on the basis of this, that arises. Our embodied self is in an environment. How the environment is influences me, obviously. No, but if I decide I'm going to do it, I can make it work for me. If you're having to make it work for you, you're constructing your holy self. This is something artificial. From the point of view of Dzogchen, you have to work with the circumstances. Circumstances have many, many different flavors. Generally speaking, other people are quite annoying. Being annoyed and irritated could be a very helpful Dharma path. It's very easy to say, may all beings be happy. But if you believe that your lover is a real bastard or an absolute bitch, then it's more difficult. I'm very happy to pray for all sentient beings, but not the people near me. So life can be quite simple in a retreat. It's only you and your holy thoughts. But if you have annoying children, their annoyance is giving you a sense of your existence. And we want to say something to them. You are terrible. And we think, oh, subject and object dancing together very strongly. So, if you like, ordinary life, family life, working with other people in an office or a factory can provide many moments for Dharma practice. We have to remember the structure of the practice. Generally, we begin with our immersion in duality, where things seem quite powerfully real. We pray to the guru or to the deity and receive the blessing of the lights of initiation. Then we dissolve into the light with the deity or the guru and enter non-dual emptiness. Then from that state, we arise with the understanding all sound is mantra, all appearance is the body of the deity, all thoughts are the movement of the Dharmakaya mind of the deity. Whether you are in a cave or in your room in a house you share with other people, both are mandalas. Whether the sound you hear is the wind blowing past the entrance to your cave, or your children fighting over who's going to go on the bicycle first. This is sound and emptiness. The objective situation doesn't tell the truth. There is no objective situation. Everything is interpretation. We have karmic or habitual structural interpretation, which is confirming the fundamental separation of subject and object. Or we can have a more pure vision where we see everything is the display of the energy of the mind moving in many different patterns. Wherever we are, we have to not forget the view. If we're practicing according to Dzogchen, our meditation is a way of confirming the view. And the view is how we see. So if you see according to the view, then life is easy. So it always depends on your own character, what will suit you. Everything is equal in emptiness. Some people are drawn towards peaceful deities, some people are drawn towards wrathful deities. One form is not better than another, but the form has to speak to you. If you put yourself first and Dharma second, this is not helpful. But if you put Dharma first and yourself second, that also cannot be helpful. Because if you're doing a practice that you don't really feel connected with and you're counting hundreds of thousands of mantras and so on, it's unlikely to have its full power. It has to be a heartfelt connection. So in terms of devotion, you have to follow your heart. Then it becomes fully alive. So only each of us alone has to find out what our heart is, where our heart is pointing, and then see if we can follow it. Next question. If I have difficulty understanding the Dzogchen view, how can I overcome these obstacles? Again, it depends what you mean by understand. To understand is to stand underneath something, as if there was a dogma like an umbrella that we are holding up. The Dzogchen view is something to massage into yourself. When the text says the mind is like the sky, don't think about the sky. Go outside and look at the sky. Sky is sometimes very light and open and free, sometimes very cloudy, dark. Does the sky rest on anything? Does it have a top? Does it have a limit on either side? Don't think about science and what that says. That's another narrative story. When you have the flavor of the sky, you think, oh, I can't say anything about the sky because sometimes it looks big, sometimes it looks small. The sky is a space of appearance. Okay, so my mind is like the sky. So maybe my mind is a space of appearance. What is appearing in my mind? If you stay with that and you allow it to be self-revealing as it is, you see sometimes the mind looks like subject side, sometimes it looks object side, sometimes it looks inside, sometimes looks outside. This doesn't make sense. Well, that's because it's not like anything else. Towards the things which we encounter in our daily life, it's easy enough to provide some explanation or evaluation. But our mind is not like that. So if you try to understand your mind according or in the same way that you would try to understand something in the world, then it will be hard to understand your mind. This is why at first we spend time looking at these famous 5 questions. Does the mind have a size? Does it have a shape or a color? Does it come from somewhere? Does it stay somewhere when it seems to be here? Does it go somewhere else? You have to look. Look without expectation. Look without prediction. Look even without hypothesis. The more you see clearly how it is, then you will see there's nothing to understand. It just is. But if you start from immersion in a conceptual framework, then it's very difficult. So don't try too hard. Don't get distracted. Stay present and see without looking. If see without looking doesn't make sense, then you can go outside and into a park and you can slowly turn around and just follow your gaze. You're seeing a lot, you're not looking. You are receiving, you're not looking for something. Now I see. What do you see? I see what I see. I cannot tell you what I see. I don't see anything. I think many things, but I only see light. That is what seeing is. When you look, you see a mix of light and concept because you're looking for something. So just be kind and fresh and enjoy life and see what you see. Next question. Is it important to have our eyes open in the white guru yoga? Again, it depends what you mean by important. For some people, it's difficult to do it with the eyes open. It's important to do the practice, however you can do it. So if it's easier with the eyes closed, then do it like that at first. But be aware that the openness you experience with your eyes closed is partly conceptual. So if possible, have the eyes open, but never with a strong light shining into them. Now, if you're doing the other kind of guru yoga where with dissolving, the question is, if visualizing merging with guru and into a ball of white light, can the eyes be closed then? The eyes can be closed or very little opening. Some people need a lot of light to come in to give the sense of visualizing. Although we say human being, there is no standard factory. You are generated and emerge out of your karmic tendencies. So you have to work with yourself. The merging into the guru and the ball of light is designed to open you directly to the experience of emptiness. There is nothing, but I'm still here, but not as someone. So if you really have the experience of nothing, then you have nothing and awareness. So that you can, at first anyway, do that with your eyes closed. Can you say more on the image of the mirror and the crystal ball? Is there a difference between what they're used to illustrate? I mean, really, I don't know if you can find a crystal ball, but you can find a mirror very easily, and you have to spend a little bit of time with a mirror to see what it is. Start with direct experience. Don't rely on the words. So if you have a crystal ball or a glass bowl, then as the text says, you put it on some blue cloth and then some red cloth. On the blue cloth, it has a kind of bluish tinge. On the red cloth, it has a slightly reddish tinge. The ball has not actually become red or blue. It remains pure, but it appears with this slight coloration. So this is a symbol of the mind being always open in relation to whatever is arising in the mind, and take on a coloration of an emotion or a memory. These arisings are not in the mind for very long. So it is as if there is this suffusion with the emotion, and now it's gone, and now it's gone. So that is the quality we get from the crystal ball. That is, in Tibetan, it's called dangwa, and it means the brightness or the bright specificity of this moment. It's not caused by a thing, but the constantly shifting energy of the field of our experience brings up coloration after coloration after coloration. And this is happening in you and through you. So this is very, very helpful. Some moment of anger arises in the mind. It has a particular tonal quality to it, and it's gone. But it seemed to have some hooks that pull you into the feeling of anger, that you might want to be angry or you don't want to be angry. Once you're in that conceptual elaboration, then it would be like taking a syringe of colored ink and trying to inject it into a crystal. That would be ridiculous. But we do it with our mind. I'm really angry. Something is happening. Nothing is happening. Nothing looks like something if you believe. So that is the attachment. Stay with the first arising, the first emergence. So that's the function of the crystal ball. And the mirror is designed, well, the image of the mirror is used in different ways, but generally it's showing the ungraspability of what is appearing. The reflection is in the mirror. You can't take it out. So you look in the mirror again and again, you see, oh, the reflection is in the mirror. What I see is the reflection. The emptiness of the mirror is the host of the appearance of the reflection. The reflection is the generosity of the mirror. The generosity of the mirror is inexhaustible. If the mirror is on the side of a car, it can show hundreds of thousands of reflections. This doesn't exhaust the potential of the mirror. It is an infinite potential. So then we look at our mind. All the time, stuff happening, reflections. They are in the mind, and then they're gone. Now, if you are committed to the dualistic view of I am the subject inside my body and that is the world outside my body, then this will be very hard to understand. When you do the practice, especially the Guru Yoga of the White Owl, sitting with your eyes open, experiences arise, seemingly as it were inside and outside. There is no true separation between them, no differentiation. So in that sense, everything is a reflection. What you see, houses, trees, cars, these are reflections in your mind. So normally we say, hang on, this is a motor car. It's not something in my mind. If it was traveling on the road and it hit me, I would be ill. I would die. So that's a very nice sequence of thoughts. But our practice is to be a little bit suspicious of thoughts. Start with the openness at the end of the third R. Very open, very full. The mind is empty and it's full simultaneously. This fullness is passing through, ungraspable. It's already gone before I could apprehend it. And each moment is this and this and this, like a bubbling mountain spring. But if I fall into the flow of thoughts and employ the thoughts to make sense of what is happening, then I think about what is going on. And I do that on the basis that my thoughts tell me the truth about what is here. So then it seems obvious, I'm in here, the world's out there. And then the teaching of Dzogchen is very difficult. Start with relaxation, stay with relaxation, whereas worldly life is start with effort. What's going on? Perhaps you can remember being a child. You always encounter things you don't know. Mom, why are they doing that? Where does Dad go in the morning? Why do we eat this food? Oh. Children are fed with stories before they are fed with food. Thoughts and concepts will give you power in the world, which is true, but they also enslave you to your karmic vision. Oh, next question. I see suffering beings, yet I practice to see that there are no actual beings. This is confusing. Well, from what we've been looking at this evening, it's not true that you see sentient beings. You think sentient beings. They are your interpretation according to the nature of your eyeballs, the way your brain functions, the kind of concepts you've internalized in the course of your education, and so on. Some people, when they think suffering, they're very happy. You would be a very hopeless torturer if you got upset at people's screams. For a singer on the stage, the applause of the audience is a sign of success. For a torturer, the screams of the victim are the sign of success. Everything is open to interpretation. Whenever we think that we have discovered a definite truth, this is usually the limit of our imagination. How could they be so cruel? Quite easily. How can people be so selfish? Quite easily. So if you develop a sensitivity which brings your attention towards how people are in the world, and you construe that in terms of your interpretation, they are suffering, that is your mental activity. In general terms, it is ethical or good mental activity. Dharma would like to build on that and to show that we should help beings in the manner of a dream. As long as beings are attached to the idea of the reality of their existence, then they become upset when this is undermined. But we know we are going to die. We need to be able to sleep at least some time at night. Our being in the world with others is not a fixed situation at all. It is an emergent situation influenced by how we conceptualize it. So if you do the more tantric style of guru yoga and you dissolve in, the deity comes into your body and you merge together and dissolve, then you see that the ground or the base is open ungraspability. Thoughts come second. The original or the primordial is the always pure openness of the mind. Now, if the dissolving doesn't really dissolve, and you're relying on your concepts and you're trying to think about what is going on, then thoughts seem to come first. Then on the basis of my thoughts, I try to understand emptiness. But our practice is to get direct opening. Then you see, without any doubt, without any storyline, everything emerges from the open, empty ground. So just a very last question about meditation. When I'm sitting, resting in stillness and presence, at some point there's a loss of vividness and lucidity. I don't fall asleep, yet I'm not fully aware. It's rather flat and dull. Then I return to the more spacious experience, and I become aware that I have become somewhat veiled or covered. So this is not an uncommon experience. From the Dharma, Buddhist Dharma point of view, we have different kinds of obscurations. We have the obscurations of the emotions, especially what we call the five poisons, the mental opacity, which lacks clarity, the sort of home base of my sense of self. And from this comes attraction and aversion, jealousy and pride. And we also have the obscuration of all that seems knowable. So when we go out and walk about, we not only see things, but we know them. We experience knowable things. So there's two aspects in this. One is the thingness, the here as somethingness, and that they are knowable or apprehendable. So when that's been going on for a long, long time, in previous lives as well, there are many hazy veils of thingness. So we can rely on the light of faith, which is useful, but it's developed by faith. And in that sense, it's a bit like the light of the intellect. Yeah. So both of these are like the kind of torch that works when you squeeze the handle. It's clear for a while, but when your hand gets tired, then the light stops. So the key thing is to relax into the intrinsic light of the mind. And that becomes easier when you see that everything which occurs has the same ground of the open sky of the mind. We see rainbows in the sky and we see clouds in the sky. You don't find rainbows outside the sky and you don't find clouds outside the sky. These are two citizens of the sky. They're not there on a transient visa. They're entitled to be there. This is how the sky shows itself. The cloud and the sky come together. So from the point of view of Dzogchen, the mind and dullness and depression and anxiety and loneliness and so on come together. If we think, I don't want my mind to be like that, I want the bright, shiny one. I've read about it in the books. I've seen the pictures of the Buddha. I've looked in the catalog, and that's what I ordered online. And now when I open the package, it's not the same. I've been cheated. So either I have very, very bad karma, or the meditation practice is not right, or my teacher has taught me the wrong things, or maybe that's how it is for a while. All emergent things, all phenomena are impermanent. So from the Dzogchen point of view, we don't do anything. Sit for short periods of time. If your mind is very heavy, sit for 5 minutes. And just sit with the dullness, with the heaviness, with the confusion. If you try to brighten your mind up, it's something artificial. You want to find the clarity of the disclosure of the mind. Your dull, heavy feeling is the clarity of the disclosure of the mind. The problem is if you misinterpret a particular mode of the arising of the mind and take it to be a problem, something which is wrong, then the problem is not what is arising, but how you interpret it. Everything is the radiance of the mind. So we only find this out by long sitting. And then, however the mind is fine. Because this mind is not my mind. It's not my possession. And how it is not a report card on my value as a human being. It's like this for a while. Just as we have been meeting now for a while. And we will vanish. So at the moment, it's not very clear what the progress of the virus will be. I imagine we'll be doing some Zooms in the autumn. For now, for the next July and August, I'll be writing mainly. There will be a retreat in England, I think, and then maybe, hopefully, in Spain and in Germany and in various places. But I'm very aware that many people have started to join the Zoom sessions who are not in Europe and who are not free to travel around. So for sure, we will maintain Zoom contact in some way. We can continue with the question and answer. So if you have any particular things you'd like me to address, just send them in. And when we start again in September, we can do that. So thank you again to our translators, to Jayachita, Juan, Milton, and to Pedro, who manages everything very skillfully from the background. And again, the recordings will be made available. And from time to time, some new material will go up on the website through the summer. So I wish you happy practice and a good summer. So bye for now. Cheers. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
James.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Gracias, Juan.
Bye, everyone.
Obrigado, James.
Bye.
Ciao, Barbara.